Okay, good deal. Welcome to today's conversation presented by West Virginia University Career Services Center. My name is Allie Royce and I'm the Multimedia Specialist at Career Services. Please remember to keep your microphones muted for the session and send any questions through the chat feature. So today we'll be discussing essential tips for the virtual job search. We have Levi May, the Regional Campus Recruiter at Revature, and two other members of the Career Services team, Kelly Stewart, a Career Development Specialist, and Rachael Conrad, Assistant Director of Employer Relations at Career Services. And we're gonna go ahead and let Levi get started with an intro on himself and Reveture.
Wonderful, wonderful. First off, thank you, Allie, Kelly, and Rachel, and WVU Career Services for reaching out so I could connect with your students about some essential tips that are needed right now, especially given the COVID-19 era that we are all living in. Throughout the presentation, like Allie said, I'll touch a little on the company as well as some virtual job search tips. To kick it off, who is Levi May? So who am I? Well, I was raised in Texas, originally born in the Philippines. You might hear me say y'all a time or two. I still got to hang on to that Southern drawl. Relocated to the East Coast for university, went to James Madison, and then to University of Mississippi. After I completed my master's in higher ed, I was looking for entry-level jobs. And one thing that I encountered was a lot of times those entry-level jobs require 2 to 3 years or maybe 2 to 5 years of professional experience. So, during that time in which I was graduated from college, really wanted to get my foot in the door working somewhere at a professional level, I just took a retail job at the Bed Bath & Beyond. I loved that experience at Bed Bath & Beyond as well. If anybody out there has worked at Bed Bath & Beyond, kudos to you. After I worked in Bed Bath for about a year, I ended up jumping into college admissions. Worked at James Madison as well as a university up here in Washington, D.C. Over my, last summer, something that I like to do is always, have a book in hand. And I picked up a book called The New You, and it's all about how, in many ways, technology is changing the labor force so fast, and everything is constantly updating. I just think about how many times, you go to bed at night and your iPhone has to upload all these applications and such. And the book talks about the technological innovations that are happening and how now today, so many entry-level jobs are requiring not only 2 to 3 years of just general work experience, but technical skills experience. And in the book that I read, it talked a little bit about, companies that are popping up like Revature. Something unique about Reveture, and I'll get into this in a couple of slides, but how we actually, we assist universities, we work hand in hand, and we also work with employers to provide a bridge whenever you graduate college to landing that first technical job. So what do I do at Revature? I recruit. I recruit both career beginners and career changers for entry-level tech positions. What positions specifically? Software engineering positions. One thing about Revature is we recruit nationally, and we also deploy nationally. So if you are definitely an adventurer, then we could potentially be a good company to work for you. A little bit about us. We're the #1 employer of entry-level software engineers in the country. We have hired, trained, and deployed more than 5,000 entry-level professionals over the last 15 years. We have more than 50 active client partners that we work with. So client partners come to us with a tech need. We recruit motivated candidates, we train them, and then deploy them to a client partner. So in many ways, Revature, we're the brand behind the brand, but we actually have these client connections so we can bring our clients to the table to interview our trainees. We have a very large corporate staff, and we have multiple connections, not only the East Coast, but also on the West Coast too. So again, yes, I recruit people who are career beginners and career changers and ultimately work to close the career opportunity gap. A lot of you all on this call, you might be a junior or a senior, or maybe you're a recent alumni, or maybe you just graduated virtually this past spring. If so, congratulations. A lot of times what happens is, right after you walk across stage and you get that degree, a lot of times in terms of getting your first tech job, you're still required to do a lot on your own. That can be tricky, and it can be annoying too. Everything from applied learning to real-time experience and client interaction. One thing that's unique about Revature as a company is those things that are highlighted in blue that you are still kind of expected to do on your own before getting your first tech job. It's actually encapsulated into the Revature training, and ultimately you'll have your first tech job with our company. And we'll, again, serve as a bridge to get you into the tech world and set you up for a successful tech career. Now, briefly, how does our model work? So first off, we generate interest among motivated candidates. Again, whether you're a junior or senior, or if you just graduated. A way to generate interest, obviously, is we host information sessions, roundtable, employer chats like this, but also through a free training module program called Rev Pro. And that's something that I can send over later on. Essentially, we have training modules online that you can ultimately use to determine, one, if coding is something that you're interested in, as well as two, do I want to be a standout candidate for this process? Again, we can talk about it more later on. How our model works, again, we engage students, juniors and seniors, as well as career seekers and changers. Once they make it through our tech screening, multi-step tech screening, they enter the development phase where they go through a 10 to 12 week paid training program for technical skills specifically. Around week 8 and 9, that's whenever we bring our client partners to the table to interview with our associates. And all throughout the time, we really mentor our associates in terms of interview skills. Now, once you're successfully placed with the client partner, you then are deployed to work on site with that client partner for a 2-year duration. When you sign on with the company, you sign on for 2 years. After the first year of working on site with that company, about 85% actually go from being a Reveture, associate working on site with that client partner and convert to work with that client partner as a partner, whether you're in a company like Deloitte or Capital One or Health First or FINRA, Infosys, whatever it might be. So again, we work to provide an entry-level opportunity for those who really want to get their foot in the door in the tech space. During training, what are you going to be looking at? We train in what's in demand in the tech ecosystem. Right now, many of our client partners, as seen on this slide, they'll come to us and say, hey, Revature, I have a tech need and I need your help. I'm like, okay, let's talk. So for example, a company like Capital One might come to us and say, Revature, I need 100 Salesforce developers and I need them by the middle of next year. So our job at Revature is to go out, find motivated candidates, train them in those designated technologies. We train in more than 200. And ultimately sync them up with the client. So again, we're kind of like the brand behind the brand. Now, once our associates are paired up with the clients, they're then deployed to wherever the client partner needs them. We have multiple associates all across the country. Again, we do deploy nationally. And right now I made this slide special as an associate spotlight because we do have a lot of East Coast people, kind of near WVU that end up going to work in Pittsburgh. So right over here, we had Thomas Wilson. He actually participated in our in-person training. Again, this was pre-COVID at the Morgantown, West Virginia training facility, and now is working with a client partner in Pittsburgh. But ultimately, we have associate spotlights for people all over the country. They're trained in different technologies, and ultimately they work with various client partners. Again, we really provide a bridge for people to get their foot in the door in the tech space. Now, how has COVID-19 impacted us? It's impacted the world, and it's been crazy how we've all been responding. But first and foremost, how has it impacted a company like Reveture? So we have pivoted from in-person training to virtual paid training. So, training initially, again, this was, I guess, before March. We have 5 training centers right now. We actually have one of the training centers in Morgantown, West Virginia. It's right on the corner of High Street. So if anybody, you've been over in that area and you've gone to, let's see, might need your help, Allie. Panera Bread. Isn't there a Panera Bread right on the
Yes,
corner?
High Street. Yep.
Yeah. So we actually have a corporate building, corporate training center right across the street from the Panera Bread. We also have a training facility in Reston, Virginia, New York City, Tampa, and Arlington, Texas. And then whenever you come to training, you actually live in our on-site housing that's optional that we subsidize 75% of the way. We have 2 more training sites on the way, hopefully for 2021. But ultimately, how have we adjusted? So, mid-March, that's whenever all of our training, stopped the in-person, and now it's 100% virtual. And our training staff actually utilizes Zoom as their training platform. So our virtual paid training is still happening. Associates, whenever they sign on with Revature, even the training, it's a full-time job. 9 to 5, you're going to be trained to code like a boss. That's our motto at Revature. And then each night you'll have about 2 to 3 hours of group assignments to work through. So in terms of one impact, that's definitely one of our largest impacts of COVID-19. Another one was downsizing. My recruitment team, I lost a couple of my colleagues just due to, what was happening to the economy. We had to let some good people go, but ultimately hope to bring them back in the coming months. I know many companies across the country are hurting, but one thing that's unique, even though we had to downsize internally, we are still able to hire for entry-level tech jobs. We're currently adjusting our 3 to 5 year strategy to again future-proof our company because it's always changing and innovating. And also, how has COVID-19 impacted us? We're looking for new university and corporate partners. We just rolled out a corporate partnership with Salesforce and Pega, as well as the Women in Tech Institute over here in DC. This one on the back is definitely something I'm really proud of for the company. So with COVID-19 happening, there's definitely a lot of people who have been laid off, as well as spouses of those who have been laid off, of spouses of first responders. That's what I mean. So we created this new initiative called Code First. So we're actually offering free instructor-led training to the immediate family members of first responders, healthcare, and essential workers. It's our goal over the next year to actually train close to 250 people free of cost. Some of the training batches are for just general intro to programming. Some of them are Salesforce specific, where they can actually go through a 6-week training on a designated Salesforce certification, and then at the end be presented with a Salesforce certificate, or Salesforce voucher to take the certification exam. So far, I think we've trained about 60 people. This is one of my new roles in this virtual environment, recruiting people for Code First. So if anybody on the call actually knows of an immediate family of a first responder, healthcare, essential worker, or law enforcement officer, please let me know. I would love to get them connected with this unique opportunity. In terms of some, background details about the Revature recruitment process. So first off, how do you get into our pipeline? You got to attend an info session or apply. After that, you'll receive an email for next steps. Then a phone screening will happen, and this will be coordinated with a technical recruiter or a career coach. So just they'll review some questions with you and see if you'd be a potential good fit for the company. After going through the phone screening, you could be assigned an aptitude assessment to take, and then ultimately would determine if we would move on to the next step, which would be a technical assessment. One thing about the technical assessment is we actually do provide a study guide to kind of let you guys know what you would actually be assessed on. in terms of programming languages or architectures. And depending on how well you do on all those steps, we could make you a job offer and discuss a training start. Now, in terms of the training starts, again, right now they're happening virtually. We have training starts every single Monday. So for example, next Monday we have a training start for a code first specific training batch for intro to programming, but we also have a training start for a Salesforce training batch, as well as a Java training batch, which is exciting. Our training batches are filled up. It's been till October. Right now, especially during COVID-19, a lot of companies are really making it a priority to upskill their labor force, and a way to really upskill yourself during this time would to potentially sign up for our free training programs that we have. Again, we have that code first offering out there. How do you apply? I'm sure that all of the WVU Career Services staff like this slide a lot. I know I do. I'm always on Handshake. Handshake is a great resource for university students. There are other job boards out there. There's jobs posted on LinkedIn, there's jobs posted on Indeed, whatever it might be. But Handshake is a wonderful resource, and it's continuing to grow. I know that there are some companies that aren't doing any on-campus recruiting for the entirety of 2021. I've heard that among some other companies out in the space. But if you're really looking for an opportunity to easily apply to multiple positions, Handshake is a great resource. So if you haven't created a Handshake account, I would most certainly go through and make a Handshake account. And one thing that's important definitely for us recruiters, be sure to put in the month and year in which you graduate, because that impacts our workflow. So next steps, if you're interested in jumpstarting your tech career, getting your foot in the door with Revature, you can apply to our job opening on the WVU Handshake page. If you don't have a Handshake account, this is a great time to make one. And that right there is my presentation for now. I think I covered all your questions, Rachel, Ali, and Kelly. But at this time, I'd love to, carry on the conversation. I think you guys have some other questions ready for me.
Yes, we'll get to the other questions. And while you still have your slides up, I don't know if you want to reiterate the requirements for applying to the training. That was one of the questions that had come in.
Yeah, great question. So requirements, first off, if you're a junior or a senior right now and you still have a semester to go, you can't fully start the training as of yet. One thing that you can do, however, is prepare for the multi-step assessments that we do have. So again, if you're a junior or senior and you're graduating this semester, you could ultimately, sign up for Rev Pro as a way to get yourself prepared to be a standout candidate. Now, once you come to the end of that senior year, or you get that diploma, or if you're an alumni on the call, requirement, first off, gotta have a degree, some type. 2, you gotta be open to relocation. That's definitely a requirement. Just upfront, in all transparency, whenever somebody starts at Revature, not only are we providing an opportunity for folks to get their foot in the door with tech, but also our clients, they need this tech talent all across the country. So we can't necessarily guarantee when you start which metropolitan city you're going to be placed. We can't guarantee which client partner you'll be placed with. However, we can guarantee that by the end of the training, you're going to have an extremely in-demand skill set needed among our tech partners, and we'll work to place you as fast as possible. So you got to be open to relo, as well as open to a 24-month commitment, because that's part of Reveture. When you sign on with us, you sign on for a 2-year commitment. Kind of think of it like your first 2 years of college. They went by pretty fast, good times. Other requirements is you also have to be either a US citizen or a green card holder. The reason for that is many of our client partners do require a security clearance. So that's why we're only able to recruit US citizens and green card holders. People with all skill levels are welcome to apply. Historically, a data point that we have, about 55% of our trainees have come from a STEM background and had some, type of programming experience. And the other 45% are all majors. Maybe you're just like a self-taught coder on the side, like to piddle around. But again, we really provide an opportunity for people of all levels.
Awesome, thank you.
No
And
problem.
with that, we will start, if you want to stop sharing your screen.
Sure.
And we will go on to the Q&A that we will have our experts answer. So first up, Levi, we'll start with you, but should a student only look for remote opportunities, and who is still hiring?
Let's see, in terms of only look for remote opportunities, I think a lot of that truly comes down to, first off, the comfort level. Are you comfortable like going out, maybe working in an office setting or working in some type of public setting right now? I know everybody has kind of a different comfort level, so that's definitely something for you to figure out. I know me personally, I go into the office once a week and I'm okay with that. Everybody masks up. We've been doing a really good job about that. I think that's like the first thing that you got to figure out just from a personal standpoint. And what can you repeat the question one more time, Allie?
Yeah, should a student only look for remote opportunities?
In terms of only look for remote, a lot of people are applying for only remote opportunities. I would definitely keep my options open and apply for both remote and in person, and also even to jobs that might necessarily not have the specific title that you're looking for. So I know, like previously, whenever I was applying for a role, it didn't have the specific job title I was looking for. But then whenever I did my research and looked at the job responsibilities, I was like, oh, that's not the specific title, but I can totally do all those things. So just definitely keep an open mind.
I would like to add to that. Also think it's a great idea for undergrad students that maybe lost out on an internship to look for some job shadowing opportunities, or maybe schedule an informational interview. And that also helps with this process to get you out there, get your name out there, and start building your networking.
I think it's important for some students to understand that depending on the industry that you're going into, you may not be able to be remote. If you are looking to be a mechanical engineer in a manufacturing facility, there's a good chance you won't be doing remote work. There may be some form of hybrid work that you might be able to do, but there are just some opportunities that cannot be remote. I do want to touch on Handshake real quick. If you go into your profile and set up your notifications, you can actually get a weekly email of employers who have gone in and said, I am looking for WVU students in XYZ major. It gets sent straight to your email every week, which is really nice. Also, if you're on Handshake, you can check out the blog, and there's a great blog. It's called Who's Still Hiring? Easy peasy, it's a whole list.
Nice.
Yeah, and that goes to the next question on what resources are available to students in their job search, and what is the best job search apps to use?
Definitely resource. First off, utilize that career center to your best of your ability. Previously in the presentation I mentioned, right after I came out of school, I was looking to land that first professional, I guess you could say, big boy job. And it took me a little bit of time. And before I could do that, I did retail for a year, and I love the experience. But truly utilize the career resource office as to the best of your ability. Especially, a lot of companies out there, they can be really picky, and they want to see people with experience. And if you don't do like a program like Revature, a great way to really show that and demonstrate that, you're on the ball and you have drive is to get internships. Whether you do a summer internship or even some type of maybe remote internship whenever you are actually at school. I think that you all have an employer that you all work with from Charleston, right, Allie and Rachel? They have like a special internship on site.
Yeah, and I just blanked on their names and you're
Is
asking
it
me
is it
about it.
is it B3
N3.
N3? Okay,
N4.
N4. Just being open to internships all throughout. I know they might, especially right now, be hard to come by, but again, just eyes and ears, just stay alive.
It's really important to build that LinkedIn profile and start your networking on there. You want to try to have your profile updated with, reaching out to professors within your field. And as you're meeting recruiters online, reach out to them, because 97% of recruiters are on LinkedIn. So that's really important to establish that account. And when you look for a remote in the location, there's more than 123,000 opportunities right now on LinkedIn. A few months ago in April, it was around 55,000. So that has increased. So I highly recommend students use LinkedIn. And also use some hashtags in your job search, like hashtag hiring now, hashtag work from home, hashtag remote work. Get creative and use some of those hashtags as you're doing your research.
I think that's a great point, Kelly, especially in terms of like using the hashtags, but also like if you are a LinkedIn subscription, if you have a LinkedIn subscription, you can definitely see a lot of articles that are being posted out there. Contributing to articles on there and engaging in the conversation is definitely can make yourself like a standout person. Maybe like a recruiter from a different company might see that you raise a really interesting point, click on your link, and then they can see your background, what your interests are, and maybe that person has a one-off job opportunity and they might reach out to engage you. So definitely if you can contribute something to a LinkedIn conversation, I'm not saying you have to go on there and every single conversation toss a like or whatever it might be, but if you can like contribute something deep to one of those conversations, it could potentially benefit you.
Also added muse.com into the chat. It's also a list of companies that are actively hiring. So there's another website students can go to.
Just to touch on the question about the best app, and because it's my favorite, Handshake actually has an app that you can access with your student account. And when you're in there or on the desktop version, whichever, you can actually favorite your employers that you're interested in. So anytime that they post a job or that they're coming to a career fair, the system automatically emails you. So it's doing half of the work for you just by using the app or the desktop version.
And how should a student enhance their online profile and presence? And Levi did hit on that some with engaging in comments. How does a student show that they are the perfect fit?
Definitely make sure that your LinkedIn is definitely an accurate representation of who you are. And I think another thing too is definitely make sure that all your social media channels are as well. Cancel culture, it's a real thing. You just want to make sure that maybe a tweet from 10 years ago doesn't come back to haunt you, is whatever it might be. But just to make sure that, whenever recruiters, before they actually extend an offer, a lot of times they'll do a social media quick once over just to see, who is this person, is what their resume and what their interview showed, actually what's happening. And the social media review is a great way to do so.
I think it's important for students, first of all, to get in the right frame of mind. It's very stressful. We're all in the same stressful environment that's happening right now. And I think you should analyze yourself first and do a self-evaluation. Think about what skills you're good at, what your interest is, the type of market, and locations. Locations is really important. And establish and develop some goals, some career goals. Have a plan A, plan B, plan C, and start developing all of your documents. Make sure your resume, cover letter, start building your references, all of that stuff you kind of want to have ready to go and have it perfected. Have career development specialists review those documents for you. It's a great idea to develop the elevator pitch. So all of that is what's going to help you make yourself be the perfect fit for a company. And also be aware of applicant tracking systems that most likely you're going to have to fill out, and be aware of keywords and how to tailor your resume. Those are all some tips to help you be perfected before you even start that search. I think that those are some important tips. We highly recommend students start, like in a normal situation, before COVID-19 happened, we were recommending 6 to 9 months before you graduated, and to allow 4 to 6 hours a week in that time frame. So that's basically, you have to sign up for 2 3-hour credit courses just for your job search 9 months before you graduate. And not to scare you or to, stress you out over that, but realistically, that's what you're looking at, the time frame that you need to set aside for the job search. And also with your social media sites, it's really important to update all your social media. You want to have a good professional digital brand going on. You want to, be branding yourself. It's also a good time to join professional associations, getting involved with those to help build that resume. And then, of course, practice all of this and stay organized during this process. Those are some tips I had.
Yeah, that's good. What is the time frame to follow up on a position?
Time frame to follow up. I definitely say like a business week for the initial reach out. You might actually have access to the recruiter's email. It just truly depends on the size and scope of the company. Regardless, if you don't hear anything, always connect with a recruiter on LinkedIn, because every recruiter has a LinkedIn, and they get those messages that go straight to their email. So-and-so has reached out, and it's definitely a great way to just touch base, see where your application is, and get feedback.
Yes, and we do have virtual career fairs the last week of September. That will be coming up soon. So students that are getting into those rooms to do the virtual career fair, reaching out to the recruiters, I highly recommend you send within 24 hours, send a thank you, like through email, reach out to them on LinkedIn, thank them for attending the virtual WVU career fair. And then, yeah, definitely, I agree with also sending a thank you letter within a week. And then from that point on, don't really allow 2 to 3 weeks to go by unless you have some type of communication during that process. It's your responsibility to stay informed. It's not that recruiter's responsibility to keep contacting you to let you know what the process is.
Just to jump off what Levi and Kelly said, absolutely you want to keep in touch. Just also understand that the entire process may take longer because everybody is at home, and the HR reps for the company that you are applying to, they may have just as many barriers as you do.
We do have a couple questions in the chat. Levi, they are mainly directed towards you and your presentation.
Sure.
So one of them, let me get there. He asked, is there a priority for MIS alumni to work for Reveture?
Priority for MIS alumni.
MIS, Levi, is Management Information Systems out of our
Okay.
College of Business and Economics.
College of Business, very good. Well, in terms of, I guess, priority, a lot of it comes down to what experience you already have with, certain technologies. If you already have, let's say you have a computer science degree, you've been coding like since you stepped on WVU, you could potentially be, ready for a quick start into a training batch. Whereas maybe you have an MIS degree, you have coded a little bit, but you might not be ready 100% yet for a training batch. One thing that Revature would provide are those training modules to get you prepped for the technical assessment. And then ultimately, after making it through the training modules and the technical assessment, you could then onboard with the team.
And
again, we recruit people from all majors. Historically, about 55% have come from STEM, but we take people from all majors at Revature.
And I did just put the Rev Pro link in the chat if you want to hit on that.
Definitely. So in the presentation, I talked a little bit about Reveture Pro. And again, that's it's a free online tool that we have at Reveture to determine if, coding is right for you. It's great for a lot of people. It's not great for everybody. But it's also, again, like a study guide for our technical assessment. And you can actually sign up for it free of charge if you would like. Again, if you have like a non-coding background, before actually taking a technical assessment, a technical recruiter might assign you to complete a designated number of modules to get you prepared.
Thank you.
No problem.
Another question, to clarify, the company's Reveture places a new hire may later be hired permanently?
You got it, Gazinga. You were paying attention, whoever asked that question. So when you sign on with Reveture, you sign on for 2 years with the company. Again, we provide that bridge from university to getting you connected with a client partner. So after the first year of actually being a Reveture associate who's already been trained and deployed, maybe working with Capital One or FINRA, or Infosys, whatever company it might be. After the first year, about 85% of our Revature associates actually end up converting to a full-time partner with that company.
Thanks.
No problem.
So that, I think, covers the student questions. If we did miss any, or if any more come in, feel free to email the career services address that I dropped in the chat, and we will make sure to get you connected with Levi or connect with him on Handshake or LinkedIn or any of those platforms. So with that, we will end the presentation with our experts giving one piece of advice to leave students with on getting their virtual job search started.
Piece of advice, I definitely say, we're still living today. Stay optimistic. I know this is a hard time for a lot of people. A lot of people have been laid off, but ultimately things will bounce back, especially in terms of the tech field. It's continuing to grow, and that's truly what we specialize in. And if anybody out there would like to set up a phone call to talk about the company, or just to talk about Revature Pro, please message me directly, or you can shoot me a LinkedIn message, as I was talking about earlier. And I just wish everybody on this webinar the best of luck, and just know that to always, if you're looking for guidance in terms of, is this resume in the right format? Does this cover letter sound good for this given job? Always connect with your career services offices. They're experts in terms of connecting students with employers and getting them really ready for the real world. So that's my advice.
I have more than one tip. It's so hard to narrow it down. One thing for sure, do not limit yourself to just online searches. I really feel it's important that you build your networking, you get referrals. And by getting referrals, you need to talk to people, you need to talk to family and friends, your internal networking, and then even extend it out to external networking to maybe neighbors that you don't know, or going to a dentist or a doctor's appointment and say, hey, I'm in the job search. Just just reaching out, maybe get, out of that comfortable zone and build the networking. Try to have 50 to 100 leads at all time with people that you're talking with. And another piece of advice would be aware of job scams. They do happen, they're out there, and it's important to be, if you have any questions, you're concerned about an opportunity that you see, definitely contact our office and we'd be able to help you figure out if that's a job scam or if it is a true opportunity.
My advice kind of piggybacks off of what Kelly and Levi mentioned, but don't be afraid to pivot your search. There are ultimately complementary fields out there that, while they may not be what you had initially planned to do, they will still fit all of your checks and boxes that you want to do with your life. And if you don't know how to do that, like Levi and Kelly mentioned, connect with a career development specialist at Career Services.
Awesome. Thank you all. And I think that wraps it up. I don't see any more questions that have come in. So with that, I just wanted to say thank you for being here today. And once again, this was West Virginia University Career Services Center featuring Levi May from Revature.
Thank you so much.